Sat on my bed, even though I'm concerned Sally might have left a potato waffle in here this morning. Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and my computer is currently broken. When I say computer, it's actually a laptop. Dell XPS saved a lot of money for this back in 2017-2018 in order to afford it. Alice Valentine was written on this, Royally Doris was written on this, alongside a bunch of other poems and lyrics, and hopefully it can be fixed. I was in the middle of editing a vlog from last week and thought I'll just nip off and make some tea, so close my laptop like I always close it. You're probably not supposed to do that, but I did that. And when I came back, well, firstly my father heard quite a large beep and I had no idea what it was, and then when I came back to my computer, it had that blue screen, which is apparently called the blue screen of death. I don't know. I followed some online tutorials about how to fix it, and so far they did not do what they said they were going to do. Yesterday I tried to do the system restore where you restore it to an earlier point, and I started this in the morning. It said it could take 5 hours. After the 5 hours I had to go out because we were going for drinks for a colleague's birthday. So left the house, and upon my return at 10:30, this system restore was still at the 0.00%. So I just left it and decided that I'll either try again today, or I'm going to ask the person who does our computers at work to try and fix it. Also, yeah, it's been a common thing recently for me to discuss my hair in these videos because I haven't done anything with it. Sally took my hat off somewhere and I don't know where she's put it, apart from the fact that she actually ate another one of my hats, so that's fun. I say ate, what she did was she tore it apart. She didn't actually imbibe any of the woolly contents. Either way, this is going to mean, maybe until I get it fixed or get a new computer, which I don't want to do, but a friend of mine did say that she never understood how I managed to get my last laptop to last for 7 years, so the fact that this one has lasted for 4, I should apparently be happy about. I don't know. We will see. We will see. I did pay a lot of money for this computer. I've always been very happy with this computer. Nothing seems to have ever gone wrong like this before, touch wood. So hopefully it's fixable. I no longer pay Curry's PC World or whatever they're called now to do that like service thing every year, because it was £11 a month, which I think amounts to about £132 over the year. Let's calculate. 111 would be 110 would be 10 months. 121 would be 12. So, no, 11. I'm not very good with maths. I did fail it, but I think it's 132 quid over a year, and you don't actually get 132 quid's worth of stuff done to it. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's why my last laptop worked out well. I don't know, I felt like they were just selling you a dream. Anyway, dusting off the iPad that I bought from the charity shop last year, so that I can watch YouTube and still keep up with some email correspondence. Luckily you can still do that through your phone as well. And last time that my computer broke properly in 2018, I still managed to keep up with YouTube. So we're probably going to have a few unedited videos again, which is fine. I was a bit dismayed though that this happened during the editing of the vlog that I was doing, because I'd got 2 books that I was really enthusiastic about and I wanted to be able to share this video where I was talking about them, and also because I've really been enjoying the vlog format and following, not just for me but from other creators. I quite like watching the more relaxing reading vlogs that people put out, and so wanted to make one of my own, and it went awry. Either way, those 2 books were The Friend by Sigrid Nunez and The Appeal by Janice Hallett. The Appeal is one that I ended up being incredibly enthusiastic about. I found it at the charity shop on Friday night, came home, watched 2 episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7, and then watched Untucked as well. finished all that at about 9 o'clock, sat down to read and read 230 pages before I went to bed at 11 o'clock. And then at the next day I took it to work with me, read some in the morning before work, came home and finished it that night. So it's been a long time since I did that with a book, and I've yet to find a book now that I want to read. It's been nearly a week since I finished that book, and I'm still feeling like I can't settle to anything. I did read Wynd, The Flight of the Prince by James Tynion IV and Michael Dialinas? I don't know. However, I read this simply because I thought something completely different than a novel might be what I wanted, and this is actually a rather stunning graphic novel, not just in terms of the artwork, but in terms of the story that's being told. It's fantasy with allegory, and it's about a world in which non-magical folk are looking down on magical folk, and yeah, it's one where there are queer characters, but there's also a lot of queer allegory in here. So that one. Hello Sally, how are you doing today? Yes, Sally and I have just got back from a walk down the canal, which was quite nice. We only saw 2 other people and a dog, so then we had the towpath to ourselves. We went down to our usual bridge, and then we turned round because it was getting a bit too rainy and came home, and I decided to make this video updating you about the fact that I now have no computer. In terms of The Appeal by Janice Hallett, what I want to say about that book, as well as being this thrilling murder mystery novel told in the epistolary form. Sorry Sally, we'll just have to stay there one moment. It was, to me, reminiscent of Wilkie Collins with The Moonstone, Five Little Pigs, these novels where they're going back and they're examining a crime, but it also brought this into the modern day by telling the story through the email correspondence from this small group, or the small town acting group. There is a name for them, but either way, I like this. I knew early on who the murderer was, who the murder victim was, and who had been framed. I felt like it was quite easy to tell, but then people who might not necessarily read a lot of crime might not get it. I don't know. I thought that it was a very fun read. I wouldn't say that it's one that I'm ever going to reread, but for those 2 nights, it was quite an enjoyable little thrilling book, and I'd recommend it. I have recommended it. I've thrown it at my sister, told all my volunteers to go and look for a copy, and my colleague is about to go on holiday, and I've told her to get it for that as well. So yeah. And I'll talk about The Friend at a later date. Let's talk about Drag Race All-Star 7. I have been talking with my friend Charlie for years about how I wanted a series in which people didn't get eliminated, and we finally have it. Now, I only mean in terms of like all-stars. I feel like reality show wouldn't necessarily work this way the entire time, but maybe it would. Maybe does it remove the competition aspect if everyone's going to make it? Does it remove all of the arguments people may have? I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a reality show, but I did particularly enjoy the 2 episodes that I watched last week. So it was a good Friday and Saturday. That's another thing you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with a lot of ums and ers in these unedited videos, and a lot of Sally licking and not listening to me when she constantly wants to be on my knee and have attention, no matter what I try. I'm going to look like that villain from Bond. I've just replaced the cat with a very tongue-happy dog. That sounded wrong. There we go again. In a Woolgathering video that I decided couldn't go online last week, I discussed going to Manchester to see Sarah of Hardcover Hearts and Leo of A Little Book Life. What had happened was this dog and I were up Macclesfield Forest one Tuesday. I'd had to do some overtime at work and had finished work feeling a bit wearisome, a bit like I'd missed out on a day, really. Usually on a Tuesday, it's my first day off of the week, and it's when I'm at my most lackadaisical. I'll usually have a bit of a lie-in. Sally and I'll go on a long walk around Mac Forest, and I was really missing out on this walk. And I thought, well, it's still light out, let's go. Went to Mac Forest, and because it was a bit late, I was able to see further out or something. Either way, I saw some skyscrapers that I haven't seen before, and went to Instagram just to ask whether this was Manchester, and someone confirmed it was. And then Leo and Sarah, having realised that I was close to Manchester, invited me to go and see them. And I was most pleased to get to intrude upon their day. We met at Queer Lit in Manchester, which is an indie bookstore, and I'm going to recommend it and leave a link in the description because you can order from their website, and I do know that they ship internationally. And they also package things rather nicely. From there, we went for a spot of lunch, or dinner as we usually call it in the north, but what can you do? Some people just don't know common parlance in these parts. Still no idea where we went. I've been trying to find it to recommend it to people from work, but I've absolutely no idea where we were. From there, we visited another place, John Ryland's library, and we basically just had a bit of a tour around Manchester, and we went into one bookshop and were buying new fiction, and I saw Glory by No Violet Bulawayo. I read We Need New Names about 9 years ago now, when it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, the Man Booker Prize as it was then. And there was a moment within that book that was only 2 pages, but in those 2 pages there was something cinematic, something that I hadn't really seen done in fiction before. Maybe it was because this was the time that I was changing from reading young adult literature, moving more towards adult literature, I don't know. But there was something there that represented a turn in the narrative, and I found that particularly thrilling, and I just adored We Need New Names. And for the last 9 years, I've been waiting for a second book by this author. I had absolutely no idea that Glory was going to exist. It is an book where all the characters are animals and they're a bit anthropomorphic, or however you say that word. I've never figured it out. It could even be anthropomorphic. That'd make more sense, wouldn't it? And so now I have it. I haven't read it yet because I was reading books for the Booktube Prize at the time, but I'm looking forward to that one and seeing whether it lives up to the first book. Although, should books live up to the other books? They are 2 completely separate entities. It's just that they were written by the same author. We will see when I get to it. Is there anything else that has happened in the last 2 weeks? Once again, thank you to Sarah and Leo for allowing me to meet them in Manchester. I was particularly happy at the experience. I took the slow train because you get 2 trains. You get the train that can get you to Manchester in 20 minutes, or you get this one that takes another 15, but you can usually guarantee a seat on the slower train because nobody else gets on it because it stops at every single station on the way. So I got my seat and I hear these people start sniping and bitching about stuff, and I think, oh, gossip. So naturally, me being me, start listening. Naturally, me being me, concoct an entire novel in my head where 4 friends meet over a drink in a pub, and that's just the novel, is them telling all of these stories about their lives and the interweaving and how they all come together. And then one of them said something about a supermarket that used to be in a certain area. I was like, I know that supermarket. It only turned out that they were from my mother's hometown, where my grandmother currently lives. And then I start listening because I'm thinking, I do know a lot of people who live there. Do I know these people? And they mentioned their Gordon, which was my dead grandfather's name. I don't know why I say dead grandfather, they're both dead. And then they mentioned an Auntie Hilda. Well, I have an Auntie Hilda. Luckily, well, not luckily for Auntie Hilda, but this person's Auntie Hilda died when she was 37. My Auntie Hilda died in her 80s, so we were okay. We weren't related. No, we weren't. Yeah, and then it's just been work and reading and rewatching Doctor Who on BBC iPlayer. There was a bit of a coincidence there in that I chose to watch David Tennant and Catherine Tate's final episode. I might have talked about this already. And then as soon as I'd watched their episode and I'd been enthusing to Charlie all about how basically the episode in which Catherine Tate ends up leaving as Donna Noble, it was basically the same plot as Flux last year, but also just enthusing so much about Catherine Tate's acting, able to go from comedy to drama. It was just fantastic to me, so theatrical, loved it. The next day they announced that David Tennant and Catherine Tate are coming back for the 60th anniversary special. I was thrilled. A lot of thrilled in this video, but you know, apart from the laptop this week, the discovery of a death of someone I used to know. Well, I still knew them, but yeah, whatever. It was an alright month. Maybe the start wasn't okay either. You know, the middle of my May was a bit of alright. Anyway, I've discovered that Moona have a new song out, and I haven't listened to that yet because of everything I had going on yesterday. I need to have a shower and get changed before the writers group this afternoon. I also want to have a spot of something to eat. I don't know what yet. There's part of me that's thinking of having a very carb-heavy meal, but I don't know whether to have it now or save it till tea time. It's a kind of childish meal, really. Smiley faces and corn dinosaurs, but there's just something about me that's thinking that could be rather fantastic going for a bit of a childish meal today. It would be different if I could watch stuff. Yeah, it would be different if I could watch stuff. I quite like to be able to watch stuff, but once this is charged, I'll be able to do that. Yes, I'm aware it needs cleaning. My nephew on Sunday did not realise that this was an iPad. My nephew on Sunday thought that this was somewhere that he could put his flaming cup. Either way, that's another thing that happened. My nephew came on Sunday for me to look after. Well, his father drove him down from Scotland. I didn't know that they were here, and got particularly irked by my brother on Saturday evening when he came in and asked me to watch my nephew on Sunday. Well, he didn't even watch me, he told me I was watching him, but it turned out he'd asked our younger brother to ask me to look after the nephew, and my younger brother hadn't done that. So either way, had my nephew, was told by the younger brother, maybe I should learn not to trust him, that they'd be done by lunchtime. Well, they weren't back at lunchtime, so I sent him a message and he rang me and he said, no, I'm not done yet, I've got a few hours left. So I said to him, well, your son's going to have to come on a walk with me then. I was going to go down the towpath, but the nephew said that he wanted to go off to Macclesfield Forest. So I said, we'll go to Mac Forest then. We went off. Sorry, she's scratching to go to sleep. We go off to Macclesfield Forest. I say, if there's no parking spaces, because there usually aren't, it's usually full at the weekend, we will have to go back to the towpath. And we see a big space. And he says to me, you'll be able to get in there, Charlie. I'm thinking, I don't like parallel parking, especially parallel parking on a hill. But I also don't want to let this 8-year-old nephew down. So I reverse into the space, employing all of the tricks and tactics that my instructor gave me years ago when I was learning to drive, because the amount of times I've parallel parked since I passed my test is still fewer than 10. And then we went off and we set up on this walk. My nephew says he loves walking. He was particularly enthusiastic about going. We go up an hill and he immediately starts complaining about the hill. We have not walked for 3 minutes before he stops and decides he can't go on. when are we going to go downhill? I say, well, we've got to get uphill before we go down. So we keep going, and eventually I have to start making it a game, having to make it an adventure, telling him, why don't you go through these trees here and see whether you can find any hats, because I'd found some hats the week before and I thought that might get him. No. He keeps dawdling, he keeps kicking his wellies against each other. I find a tree stump not very far from where he's just walked, and he goes and sits there. My dog is running back and forth. Someone's just arrived. My dog's running back and forth because she doesn't like anyone to get away from the pack. This is going to have to stay in the video because I can't edit. So she's running back and forth to see why my nephew's not with us, and eventually we get to the top where the benches are, where I've taken you many times, and I say to him, you're going to feel really happy when you see how far you've come, when you see how far away we are from our car. He didn't, you know. He got to the top, he sat on the bench and he said to me, I don't feel any different. I feel the same. I still don't know why I have to walk all that way, and I'm just there, just mind boggled. So we set off down bank and I talk about this water where Sally will go and play, and Sally rolls in something, and my nephew's a bit of a clean. He likes everything to be clean. He doesn't like dirt, even though he's on a farm. I mean, I can understand it, I don't like dirt either, but so he's shouting at me, he's going to sit in the back on the way back, and I'm thinking, that's fine, you can sit in the back, whatever. It took me 2.5 hours to do a walk that usually takes me 40 minutes to an hour. I had my nephew for 10 hours on Sunday. All of my plans went out of the window. And now we're here. And in about an hour, I have to set off to the writers group. So let's go make some food. Let's go fly a kite, drink something, I don't know. And then this evening, I have a conversation in Italian with una signora, because I put that off last night to go for these drinks. So I also have to find the paperwork for that. Anyway, that's that. Computer's broken, unedited video, dog barking, glad to give nephew back, read some books, back at work, saw Leo and Sarah, could have sorted all this in about 3 minutes. Abyssinia, see thee when I see thee. Hope you enjoyed this video, because until next time, that is all. Ta-ra, Chuck.